Let's go in here. Have a good show.
Thanks. That's Monk, by the way. He's so awesome.
Welcome to Lead Up for Women. Speak up to lead up with Colleen Biggs. Are you ready to lead without permission and take the steps needed to live your best life? Whether you want to start the business of your dreams or celebrate your present and future accomplishments.
I'm going to say hi to everybody on Facebook while we're listening to
host,
this.
Colleen Biggs.
Hi.
Hey there, listeners. You are listening to Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up, and I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and today is an amazing day. I am coming live to you from Sedona, Arizona, and I have some amazing guests with me. I have Gelie Akhenblit. Did I say that right, Gelie?
You did. That's incredible.
Yes.
I already.
I'm not that good with names, so I'm so happy that I got that right. And I'm also here with Didi Wong. Didi, say hi.
Hi, everyone.
All right. This is going to be an amazing show, and I can't wait to get started. And I want to say hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to whomever may be listening from which country. We're in 13 countries now.
Wow.
Very, very exciting. We have thousands and tens of thousands of listeners. So I'm super excited that all of you are joining us. And for those of you in the United States, I hope last week was an amazing weekend for you celebrating Thanksgiving here in the United States with your families, and that all of you had time set aside to express your gratitude for all of those family members and special people in your life. I know that for us, it's been an amazing 2019. So we spent the day with our family expressing our gratitude. And I understand the power of gratitude and what it's been able to do for my life. And I want to thank any of those that wrote me about your gratitudes and everything that has come to your life through your gratitudes and how thankful you are for your family. It was really nice to hear from all of you. So thank you for sending those to us. And I wanted to just get started quickly today by reminding all of you that are listening that we do go live on Facebook. So you can go out to Lead Up for Women at any time, and you can see these beautiful women live today that are joining me. And also we're offering a free webinar next week on our Teaching Tuesday. So once a month, on Tuesdays, on the second Tuesday of every month, we do a Teaching Tuesday where one of our members teaches and hosts a webinar. And this next webinar is I love the name of it. It's called Women Waking Up to Wealth, Girls Have Guns Too. And it's the secret, isn't that great? It's the secret weapon of how women are dominating the franchise industry and finding their rich. And so a member of ours, Carrie Golliver, is the franchise matchmaker, and she's going to be teaching how you can wake up to wealth and find the right franchise for you, and just other skills for us to be able to utilize as well in business. So please feel free to go on to our website, leadupforwomen.com. You can go to our Facebook page and RSVP there. Either way, we just need to make sure we've got your email address so we can give you the reminders and send you the Zoom link so you can jump on and join for free. So we hope you'll join us. And we also accept men. Men are allowed to join those webinars as well. So please feel free to jump on at any time. And that will be held at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please feel free to join us there. So let's go ahead and jump in right away with who we have joining us today. Now, Didi comes from us from far away. She was born in Hong Kong. And I say that because she's not in Hong Kong anymore. She's in LA, but she was in Hong Kong, and then she was raised in England. So Didi now lives in LA. She's a serial entrepreneur. She's an international speaker. And Didi, I don't want to give away all of your wonderful awards and everything that you've had success in. So I'm going to ask you to share with our listeners today from the beginning, how did this all start? You have an amazing story to share with our listeners.
Wow, thank you. I love how you started your radio show today about gratitude, especially when we just had Thanksgiving, and I live my life with gratitude every day and almost every minute, and thank everything that comes my way and being able to manifest what I desire in my life. So thank you for inviting me to be a guest here. I really am honored. This is actually my very first radio show, believe it or not. Actually, no, I did one more before, but on Voice America. On Voice America is my first time. So this is a great platform. My story, I'm going to start about 3 years ago when I had just finished deciding that I wanted to breastfeed my twins. So I have 4 children.
Mm-hmm.
I have an 8-year-old boy, a 5-year-old girl, and my twins just turned 4. So at around 8 months or so, when they were twins, at 8 months, I decided, you know what, I think I'm ready to get back out to the world. I had just turned 40, and something inside me, and I talk about the sixth sense and the gut feeling all the time, something inside me was just telling me, Didi, you are meant to do much more than this, even though motherhood is truly the most difficult job. And I say that in my biography, I say that in everything, because truly raising decent human beings is really the hardest job for me. And I believe it's the biggest achievement for any woman who raise amazing children. So, but at that point in my life, I have this entrepreneurial heart, this entrepreneurial spirit that I grew up with. And I was like, I need to do something. So I started just attending different seminars and workshops and conferences. And the very first one that I went to was a real estate conference. And I started watching speakers. And Tony Robbins was one of the speakers there. And he obviously has a huge name. Mm-hmm. And I never really knew who he was. I just know he's a big name. And let me go sign up for tickets to go see him. And I was watching all these speakers. I'm like, wow, this is a major business. And kind of slowly but surely, I went to more seminars that kind of got me into the personal development world. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I had a company called Social Spotlight Events, which was a huge event company. We did a lot of charity events. And I came across this guy. His name is Dave Meltzer, and he is the CEO of Sports One Marketing. And he, at that time, was introduced to me to help me bring in sponsorships for my event that I was doing. But the meet was just so intense and amazing. The most amazing meet that I think I've had in the last 10 years of my life. And Dave and I just like, you know what? I know we're going to be fast friends. And he's so respected in his industry. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he right away respected me, thinking that I was this big wig owning an event company, right? But I wasn't. You know, I had just come back out from being just a full-time mom. And I decided to go to one of his events. He invited me. And when I heard him speak, it was just like, oh my God, I need to hire him as my mentor. So that was my very first introduction into mentorship. And literally within 1 year of mentoring with him, with relationship capital, this is why it's so important to know the right people and be out there networking and know how to network in order to invite these people who have great networks into your life. And Dave invited me. So I'm in a movie because of Dave. They interviewed thousands of people, but they did pick me. It's a featured documentary of my life as a speaker. So you see me very green, never have done it before. You see me stumble over my words and all these fearful expressions on my face. And by the way, that's launching June of this year, mm-hmm. To being on a #1 digital TV show right now called Entrepreneur Elevator Pitch, where I'm an angel investor and I invest in other people's businesses, to meeting just tons of people in the industry, knowing a lot of speakers, experts, authors, and deep dive into this world of speaking. And through the film, I had to actually do homework to find myself stages, because that's part of, they didn't find me stages. The directors or producers didn't find me stages. I actually had to work hard to find my own stages. And lo and behold, because I do believe that God put me on this earth to be a messenger, I really, truly believe that I stepped upon this job of speaking, that things just kind of landed on my lap. And within like 6 months of me calling myself a speaker, I had already been invited to speak at the United Nations. I've been invited to be in India to speak at the Women Economic Forum, and winning this prestigious award for the Women of the Decade for Entrepreneurship and Venture Capital. Just along the way, every single event that I went to, I just met the right person. And I believe it's through my own karma, my own energy, my own doing in living my life the way I want to live, and waking up motivated, always have a positive mindset, even if I'm going through adversities and challenges. You know, it just, I always come and bring spirit and quality conversation into every conversation I have with anybody. And it always comes out with come out with heart and how much I love people and just want to know their stories. So really giving, and through that, I always say, people will want to do business with you because they want to be around you more and they care for you as a person. And so through all of that, I became this international award-winning speaker. I did a co-authored book with Jack Canfield. I was just finished the Think and Grow Rich Legacy World Tour, which was amazing. And next year I'm getting ready to go to Dubai to speak a women empowerment trip. I was invited to go to Dubai, and then I'm speaking in Egypt in March with the Women Economic Forum under the president of Egypt. So there's just so many crazy, amazing things landing on my lap. Oh, and highlight of my life for next year is I'll be featured in the Oprah magazine as Women Who Mean Business in the March issue. So all of this manifesting that I love to tell how to do it, how to go out there and just be you, be authentic, and just bring joy to people's lives, and things will just happen the way they should.
That is wonderful, Didi. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
That.
I know that was like one question. I went on and on and
on.
No,
that's exactly what I wanted you to do. And I wanted to get back to relationships really quick. First of all, I wanted to say congratulations to you for your success coming out of being a mother at home with twins and having 4 children and going from deciding breastfeeding to being on stages and internationally known. I mean, that's a huge leap. And maybe I'll ask this question first. Doing that, you said that there's a production that's going to be released in June, I believe you said, of 2020. Yes. Is that right? And it is the story behind the scenes of you becoming that speaker. Correct. What if someone is listening today and they are looking to become a speaker on that path now? What would you give them as advice? What is the first thing that
First thing, find a mentor. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Find the right mentor. Now, really, it's a two-way street. You have to interview them and they have to interview you, so that it's just like a relationship. For it to work the best and become almost like a marriage, you must find the right mentor. That's number one. Number two, obviously, do your daily, get as much information as you can, read books that are obviously New York Times bestseller, that the reason why they are, so read lots of books, take in lots of, but also I say show up to events, show up to networking events, as well as any kind of live events. I know a lot of the world is now on digital, online and stuff, but there's no more powerful thing than being present in front of someone and for them to feel that energy. And that will take you to places, and being open to meet lots of people and talk about what you want. Ask for what you want, and it shall come.
I was just, that's great advice. Thank you. And it's the perfect, it's the perfect show today, because as we get to Gelie, after our break, once we go to break and come back and we speak with Gelie, you're going to understand how important it is for contacting people and networking because of the networking business that she owns and how she was able to change that landscape here in Arizona. But I wanted to talk about, I was just listening to a book on my drive this morning to Sedona called Never Eat Alone. And if you've read that book, you understand it talks all about how mentorship, connecting with people just to connect with people, not being afraid to pick up the phone and call someone and ask for advice. And then, the rule of reciprocity, which I don't know how much it exists anymore. I wish it existed more, but really understanding to serve first, to give first, and to do things for other people, not really expecting anything in return. And then in tenfold, it will come back to you if you just go out and go on that adventure. And talking about adventures, I'm hoping to join you in Dubai. I was invited to go and speak. And so I am very interested in that trip. And I'm hoping that we're able to go on that trip together and bring other women with us that I know would benefit from that trip. And
Gelie should come.
Yeah. Yes. We haven't invited her yet. So now she knows that there's an open invitation, and we leave on Easter Day that evening, because it's a long trip to get out there. But our friend, Susan Dane Sutton is, the one that is putting on this trip. And so her and I have been introduced and working together for some time. And she was on our show last week, which was perfect because it was all about gratitude and with her company, Smart Women Rising, she is looking to make change in the landscape as well. And so I always appreciate owning a women's business whenever women are looking to make change. And it really comes into, I love what you said, Didi, about, you having that journey of being scared and stumbling over your words. And it just takes the moment when you really feel your power and you tap into your power, knowing I'm enough. I am so worthy to do this. The world is just waiting for me. And when we realize that as women, that the world is just waiting for us, if we don't lean into our purpose and do what it is that we're meant to do, we leave a space on earth in the world where we were meant to fill our purpose. And without you out there doing what it is that you're doing, all of the people that have heard your message and all the lives that you have changed, it would never have happened if you would have stayed at home.
Right. Exactly.
That is so powerful that just from one act of you being at a Tony Robbins event and meeting David, you said David Welsh, was that his name?
Dave Meltzer. David Meltzer.
Meltzer.
He's the CEO of Sports One Marketing. He's so huge out there in the sports world. Yeah. And I want to speak to that, what you just said, because your title for this show is for women, right? But your tagline is speak up to lead up. And when I read that, I was just like, absolutely. And, we're on Voice America. We're talking really about using your voice, speaking up, not being afraid, being authentic, use the words. And this is so much about who I am, because I talk about articulation so much. I actually have a course called The Art of Articulation, where, you using the right words, using the right energy, the right pauses, accenting on the right words. It's the delivery of your message that's going to get people's ears spike up and listen. And and because everyone can deliver that same message, but what makes people drawn to different speakers? It's how they deliver, right? So speak up first. You have to have that courage, speak up, and then you can lead someone up to do something that they want to do.
Message. We're gonna head into break right now, and I couldn't have done a better segue of you leading us into break, Didi. So thank you so much. When we get back, we're going to talk more about how you can use your voice and your connections to be able to lead in life as we come back with Didi Wong and Gelie Akhenblit. So talk to you guys back in just 2 minutes. I'm waiting to hear him. He'll be back on in just a second.
Sorry, I was on mute.
That's okay. Okay. So now we go for 2 minutes, but we're live on Facebook. So we're going to talk to Facebook just for a second because we have 2 minutes that we're on break with Voice America. So they're hearing the commercials. For anyone who listens to the podcast, months, years, weeks, days from now, or anyone live. And we want to say hi to Facebook and let all of you know that today, after the show, if I could ask each one of you to go over to Lead Up for Women, I will tag you and I will put titles to today's live on Facebook recording. And also, if you'll put your contact information, any additional information that you want to share in there, easy for them to just click on the links and go to wherever you want them to go to, email addresses, phone numbers, Networking Phoenix. If you have an offer for our listeners today, Didi, that is something that when we come back from break, you can talk about. If you want to give somebody an offer, as well as you can put that in the comment section on Facebook as well. It just, we have usually another 3,000 views of the recording that's live on Facebook, in addition to all of the downloads of this specific show. So I just wanted to give you the opportunity to have even more reach, especially with being in Arizona, Gelie. It's a good opportunity for you to put all of your network information out there, the mixer that you have coming up next Wednesday. And then Didi, do you have any events coming up that you would like to market in the next segment?
I don't have any events, but I do have a group coaching course that I can
Perfect.
offer up. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll mention that when we get back from break, and then that'll give us the opportunity to get the information out there to all the listeners. I don't want to do it until we come back from break, just so I can make sure that everyone gets to hear it. How you doing over there, Gelie? You look beautiful, girl.
Thank you.
I
Thank
just
you.
can't get over how beautiful, like your feathers, your white
feathers.
sweater. You look
wintry.
Angel sitting there. I mean.
Thank you. Thank you. So, and I put this together in literally less than 10 minutes because I'm sitting here and I was trying to get an email out and nothing was working. And I did get it out, but I'm like, and I'm looking at the time, I'm like, oh my God, I have less than 10 minutes before we go live. So I had to stop messing with the email, ran into my bedroom, put makeup, like my hair is like, I'm like, okay, do I look decent? So thank you.
Yeah, you do. You look beautiful.
Right.
Thanks. Okay. Thank you, Mom. Yeah, you look gorgeous. So I think you did an amazing job. So don't we all wish we could just throw ourselves together that fast, right?
Women. Speak up to lead up. To reach the show today, please call 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to info@leadupforwomen.com.
We will have one more break after this.
Now, back to this week's show.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. I'm your host, Colleen Biggs, and we have been speaking to Didi Wong. And Didi, thank you again so much for being with us today. We also have here on hold with us is Gelie Akhenblit, and she's going to be speaking to us in just a few minutes about her journey and her story. But I have to say, Didi, you have an amazing story. And all that you shared with us, and the courage and the bravery and just believing that you could do it and believing in yourself was how you led us really into the break and talking about how important it is for us. And I call it show up. So we have to show up. And the beautiful part is there's only one Didi Wong. There may be another Didi Wong with the same name, but there's only one you. And there will only ever be you, and there will never, ever be another you. Now, your children might be a lot like you, but they still, right? We can all confess. I have 7 children. Gelie, you've got 1 daughter, correct?
Yeah, 1, just 1.
And Didi, you've got 4. We can confess for sure they're all different.
Yes.
They're nothing like the other. A whole different ball game from one child to the next. And that's the same with us as individuals. And that's the beauty of it, is when you show up authentically as you and you deliver that message to an audience, whether it be over the radio, whether it be you're just going live on Facebook, whether it be to a networking group, which Gelie will talk to us about in a few minutes, or whether it be to 3,000 people in an auditorium from a stage. What connects with people is the authentic self and you speaking from your heart and really being present and showing up. And then I believe in God. So I know at that point, when you are showing up and being your authentic self, the words that you deliver just flow.
Yes.
Right. Don't you agree, Didi?
Yes. So agreed.
Yeah.
Because you're one with yourself.
Yeah.
And you can just, I mean, there's really no preparation involved if you are so confident and have self-worth. You just go out there and feel the audience, the vibe, the energy, the frequency, and then you just speak what is on your mind.
Yeah. That's like the best advice that we could offer today on the show to everyone is get over the jitters and the nerves and breathe them out, because what really matters to anybody that's in the audience for wherever you're speaking from is that you're just authentic and speaking from the heart. That's how you connect.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's how you really connect with people.
Right.
And that's probably why I do these shows so organic, because I just have to see how things flow and what the conversations are going to be about. I know I want stories because I know stories are powerful. And I know Didi's story is unlike any of the other 50 or 100 guests we've had on the show. And her story is going to touch somebody that another story didn't touch.
I mean, I will share with you a quick story if you like stories.
Love them.
Because I believe people come to me after I speak all the time that, oh, I totally get that. And this is a short story. I grew up in a traditional Chinese family where my parents are very strict, and to all the people, and it doesn't have to be an Asian family. Every family have parents who want something for their children, and they have a vision for their children, and it doesn't work out that way. And so for me, I defied all odds and I broke all the rules, and I married a non-Chinese guy, and my parents were threatening to disown me when I told them that I want to marry. I've been dating other races. And that's one thing. I couldn't even come and live in America because I'm not a citizen of America and I'm not American. So I had to find myself a way to stay in this country. Another thing that was a huge challenge in my life that I overcame. You know, my dream was to sing and dance on Broadway. That is the reason why I came to America for college. You know, my parents didn't let me do the theater thing. They wanted me to go to college and get the degree, which I listened to and I'm thankful for. But, you know, in another way, I want just to be a chorus girl because that's the roles that we have as Asian girls. But I ended up being invited on Broadway to speak as the only woman, Asian woman. I mean, it's like my dream came true in another way, another thing that I overcame and achieved. And now, even at the age of 43, which is who I am today, I still have a mother who tells me my makeup looks like shit. Oh, I'm so sorry.
You can, it's fine. It works.
My makeup looks terrible.
I don't know if my grandkids are listening today, but it's totally fine.
And I don't usually swear, it's funny, but when I talked about my mother, it kind of, my mom is literally the motivator. Yes, she is my motivator. She is the one who keeps me on my toes because of her negative comments to me. And I'm not afraid to say this, and I'm not putting my parents down, or I'm not putting, it is because of them being very strict and have very high standards for me. The reason why I am who I am today. And thank goodness I have a mom who's like, hey, your makeup on your hair doesn't look right. So now I'm more inclined to, to make an effort. Like I made an effort today to get my hair and makeup so that I could look, this is part of the job, So it's just part of me. And even with all the, they do not agree with me being a speaker. By the way, so that I have so many things still that I have to overcome with my own culture, and yet I am still thriving and happy, and so everyone comes across these adversities, no matter what other people expect of you. Most likely the people who love you the most actually expect the hardest things of you. I'm still knowing deep down inside that I'm walking my path and doing what I'm meant to do in this world. And I'm letting my children see that of me. And that is the most beautiful thing that I think I can do for myself.
Yeah. And to be that example for other people.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's, like I said, that's all we can be, is who we are. Everybody else is taken. So figure it out and tap into it and lean into what it is that you're so amazingly gifted at, because we all have something. Yeah. And Didi, thank you so much for sharing that today. If I know you had a special offer for our listeners, so you want to share what that is?
Yeah, I talked about the power of knowing people, and Gelie this is a perfect segue for you, for Gelie, but the power of relationship capital. So I just got invited to be an expert on a group coaching 9-week course where it's $24.97 for a 9-week of, you are going to taste eight different experts. So it's not just me, where you will meet 8 different experts on 8 different topics in the world of coaching, speaking, being an author, experts. So if you are one of those people who are looking to scale up your business in coaching, speaking, being an author or expertise, and then I would absolutely offer this for you. It's $24.97 for 9 weeks of 8 different experts leading the way every week. There's a Facebook group. There's a community that it's called SAM, S-A-M, Simplify, Accelerate, and Monetize. So if you are interested, it's a really amazing price to meet 9 experts as well as their community. Yeah. So that you can increase your relationship capital right away and learn something from it. And then of course, after the 9 weeks, you get to see which expert you may want, because then you want to find your right mentor, right? So I'm saying this because I may not be your right mentor. Of course, I want to help, but with the 8 experts there, you will really get to see whom you may like to get you into the 2020 full force with a mentor.
Yeah. And how would they take advantage of this?
Yeah, so you just have to contact me, Didi at didywong.com. You can just literally email me. I'm old school. Email me directly. DIDI at DIDIWONG.com. Perfect. And you can go on my website to find me as well, didywong.com.
Perfect, Didi. Thank you so much for joining us today. Stay on the line and stay live on Facebook with us. So
I want to hear all about Gelie right
all
now.
of that Gelie. So being introduced to Gelie today, and now we're going to introduce our listeners. And on Facebook, we'll put Didi's information out there as well in the comment section that will live with this video. So at any time, you could just go click out there. So Didi, thank you again. And it's been so wonderful. And I forgot to mention that Didi is being featured as the cover of our magazine for Lead Up for Women in the November-December issue, which comes out in 2 weeks. So, or about like a week, I believe it gets published on Monday. So I will be sending you all of that information to review. And I'm super happy that she said yes, and we get to feature her on our magazine because she has such an amazing story. So thank you so much, Didi. Gelie, where do I start with you, girl?
At the beginning.
Yes, that's where I want you to start when you introduce yourself to our listeners here. But you came from a 2015 TEDx talk. So let's talk about everything that you did leading up to that point, and then where that 2015 TEDx talk took you, and how you got to running and operating one of the biggest I don't know, is it the biggest networking group in Phoenix? Or is it the biggest networking group in Phoenix, Arizona?
Yeah, it is, absolutely. Yeah, but it's not a networking group. It's a networking community. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I love a tribe.
Yes.
Tribe and community. So take it away, Gelie. Tell us all about how you started.
Happy to. And before I do, I just want to say, I mean, Didi, it's been amazing listening to your story. I feel like you and I could probably talk for hours and hours. I'm also a refugee who came to the US from the former Soviet Union. So I know what it's like to have strict parents. My background is the Russian Jewish culture. And when I told my family I was going to major in communications and not become a doctor or a lawyer, that was a big shock. So it's just interesting to hear you talk. I mean,
a lot of parallels, yeah.
But okay, so So a little bit about me. So, as I mentioned, I came here as a refugee when I was 8 and came straight to Arizona. And growing up again, I went through a very traditional upbringing, and there was a big emphasis on math and science and education. And because I wasn't good at math and science, I was told I was going to fail and blah, 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 all that stuff, that just comes with, awesome non-American cultures. And so I went through college, I ended up majoring in communications and marketing. That was always I just had this natural, tendency towards that. Was always involved in groups, just loved being around people. And I had 2 jobs out of college. The first one, I ended up doing public relations. I was a publicist, and I lasted there about 2 years and 3 months. And the second job, when the economy got a little better, I went into, I got recruited to do internal employee communications for a big Fortune 500 company. On paper, it looked amazing. It was amazing salary, like from day one, 4 weeks of vacation. Also from day one, I knew that I walked into a toxic wasteland. It was the moment I walked into the building, my heart just sank. I am highly intuitive, and I see and speak energy the way you would read something on a piece of paper. And I'm like, what did I just get myself into? But it's good for my resume, so I have to stick it out. So 2 years and 3 months, I stayed there. There's this pattern. But this time, before I quit that job, I realized that I had this realization that I never knew before. I was never guided towards this, but by nature, I am an entrepreneur. And if we look at my trajectory from the time I was a kid, I always had some little side hustle going. I feel like I was the OG hustler, I didn't know that was a word. And now it's a thing. Everyone's like, hustle, hustle. And I'm like, I was doing that for gas money when I was in high school, making hemp necklaces, just whatever I could on the side. So in retrospect, I've always been entrepreneurial, but I never realized that. I was never guided towards that. So having one job was actually very difficult for me because of how I don't function that way. I mean, I'm a hard worker, but I don't function that way. So I started networking to discover other opportunities, not so much to find another job, but just to I'm in my early 20s. I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm miserable. I told my mom I'm miserable. And what she said? She's like, well, now it's time for you to have babies. I was like, oh, no, thanks for the advice, Mom. Moving on. So I went out into the networking world, and I'm sure both of you have experienced that feeling when you're falling in love, your endorphins are off the charts. All of a sudden, everything just works out. You're just so happy. That's me when I'm in a room full of strangers. My endorphins are just off the charts. I love walking. It's a treasure hunt. I love going to conferences. There's one conference I go to, and I made a friend there, and he says to me, why are you here? This isn't even your industry. And I started laughing. I'm like, I just like to come here and network. Yeah. True story. I just look, because the people you meet are incredible.
Incredible.
I'm all about people. And Didi, like you said, I always meet the right person. It's serendipitous, but it's not. It is and it's not. You have to put yourself into the path of opportunity. You have to show up. If you're not going to show up, you're not going to meet the right person. But do I know that I'm going to meet that person? Probably not until I get there. So, so I ended up going to all these different networking events. And at the time, I was married to a software engineer. Not married to him anymore, but I came home after one evening after an event, and I said, listen, I have this idea. This is 2007. Okay. So this is pre-Facebook, pre-meetup, pre-really any social media, coming onto the scene. I mean, it was just starting out. And I'm like, we need to come up with a way to, because all these people want to know where networking events are happening and nobody knows. In order for you to know where networking events were happening, you needed to know somebody, to know somebody, to know somebody.
Right.
And so I had this Word document that I was compiling that was copy paste of all the events. And I'm like, can you create me a website where I can have a calendar and put up all the different networking events? He says, sure, no problem. He is actually a brilliant software engineer. So what he did was he took my idea and he created a platform 12 years ago that was way ahead of its time. So in essence, he created an event-centric community building platform. And that's why, Colleen, I said, I'm not really a networking group. I'm a giant community.
Yeah.
Because before the word community was a thing, I built a community. And there's actually a lot of confusion around that. It's I have over 40,000 members and they belong to different chambers and different groups. So now when I say community, everyone understands, oh, Facebook groups, Instagram community. I came up with that 12 years ago. I wasn't following anyone, but to me it just made sense. I wanted to promote all the groups. I wanted to create like a cohesive environment for everyone. Like I'm a true collaborator. I love people. Like not everyone's like that, right? Like we know, but by nature is just who I am.
Right.
So, so he builds this phenomenal platform, and we launch it. Well, before we launch it, I had a hard time quitting my job, because quitting my job meant quitting everything I've worked for so hard. And what's my family gonna say? And not just but like, can I do this? Like, how am I gonna make money? I didn't know how to make money. I never took a single business class in my life. Like I didn't know anything about anything, and I was so deathly afraid. And I had hired a coach, because we all need a good coach. I hired a coach, and I'm like, I'm going to quit in February. And she's looking at me she's like, okay, you'll probably quit sooner. And I'm like, she's crazy. Like, I'm not quitting before February, blah, blah, blah. So December 2007, my manager pulls me into her office. She was really my peer, but her official title was manager.
Ooh, Gelie, this is a good stopping point since we have to go to break, because everyone is on like the edge of their seat right now to know, did you quit? Did you not quit? What did your manager have to say? So we're stopping to go to break. When we get back, Gelie's going to tell us what happened when the manager pulled her in her office. All right, so let's take a break for 2 minutes and we'll be right back.
All right, perfect. Good job. All clear.
Thank you.
Nice.
We were right at a breaking point, and I knew we were going to run over, and he was going to start, sending me a bunch of chats that are like, we're over. No, you're past your 30 seconds. So I was like, that's perfect, because I'm sitting here going like, what did your manager have to say? I can't wait to hear. And I was like, we're breaking. So,
and I can talk forever. So
yeah, well, that's good. And don't leak it to Facebook. We don't want Facebook to hear it right now either. We want to make sure that they have to wait until we get back from break.
Yeah.
For them to be able to.
Sure.
And then do you also have an offer for the listeners that we can offer?
Well, if they're local, yes.
Okay. It can be for local. That's totally fine. Yeah. Is there any, Networking Phoenix, does any of your networking have anything to do with any other states? Or do you have anyone affiliated that work with you in any other states at all?
No, not for Networking Phoenix. Through my consulting company, I mean, I can work with people anywhere, but not with Networking Phoenix, because that was local.
So if you wanted to bring up your consulting company as well and bring up any information on that for anyone that we have listeners in other states, that's another opportunity for them to reach out to you and work with you. So that's a great one to bring up as well. You don't have to stick to just one of your businesses. You can
I can talk to all my personalities. There's quite a few.
Bring them all to the table, because I want to meet every single one of them.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely.
As long as there's no identity crisis going on there and you clearly know who each one is. Then...
Yeah, I know who each one is. Yeah. Well, I mean, and they're all Gelie. So it's all just,
that's awesome.
Well, I mean, we all have different dimensions of ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I do, it's interesting, because sometimes I will go by different, so I do a lot of spiritual work. I do energy work. I work with people's soul energies and do soul contract decoding, like what your soul came in to accomplish in this lifetime. So when I do that work, I actually like to go to my birth name, which is Gelie.
Oh, I love that.
It's a beautiful name.
All right, coming back here in about 10.
Sounds good. Yeah, I have my chakra bracelet on today. I don't know if you guys can see
like it.
But,
love it.
I've been working through an energy healer this year, and have been working through my chakras and learning how to, and I know, Didi, you do chakras.
Yes,
well,
that was the name of my company.
Listening to Lead Up for Women.
So I'm learning
Speak
how
up
to tap into
To reach the show today,
chakras,
please call 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141.
Amazing.
You may also send an email.
I healed my heartburn in like 30 seconds one day.
Wow.
So I knew I had anxiety about something. Yeah. Hey there, listeners. Welcome back. We're having an awesome time here. Just talking to Didi and Gelie, and you're listening to Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. And I'm your host, Colleen Biggs. And you are all on the edge of your seat right now, because we are too. And Didi and I cannot wait. And neither can our Facebook group. And I'm sure all the listeners out there want to know, What happened when your manager pulled you into her office, Gelie?
Right. So she pulls me in, and she basically starts telling me that she needs me there for more hours or whatever, blah blah blah. I don't know. It was like in the cartoons. All of a sudden, I just hear this wah 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 wah. Like I'm like, I don't even know what she's saying. After she said more hours, like I just checked out. So I open up my mouth to respond. I have no idea what I'm gonna say, and I say, well, then I quit. And she's like, what? And I'm like, what? Like. It was literally kind of a movie. Like I did not plan on saying this. Like I was not planning on quitting. We just sat there and looked at each other. And she's like, Gelie, do you want to maybe think about this? She's like, maybe. She's like, we don't have to tell anyone. Take some time. And I was like, you know what? If I said it, then I mean it. Like I need to go. Like there's no, like I just like the words literally fell out of my mouth. Like how much more obvious can it be? I need to go do this. Like, and I said this the other day, and I'll say it here. That moment was the biggest high of my life. Like I had never in my life felt so liberated, so on point. Like I felt like, I gave myself permission to make a choice for my own life, regardless of what anyone else was going to think.
Yeah.
It just didn't matter. And I didn't have a plan. I didn't know, but I was 27 and I made this decision. I quit. And I'm going to go pursue networking. I don't know. So I did. And we launched the website on January 1st, 2008. And if you remember, January 1st, 2008, when the economy completely crashed, I did not know that was coming. So I was at the perfect place at the perfect time. It was the perfect storm. We launched the website and everybody got laid off. People started getting laid off and they started Googling and they started landing on the website. So I gave this entire town hope. I brought them together. I helped them connect with people. I mean, it was way beyond me from the second the site went live. But I knew that this was my life's purpose, at least for that moment in life. And it was undeniable. Yeah. So started building the community, and as of today, we have over 40,000 members. So this isn't 40,000 Instagram followers. These are people that come to my events. These are people that know me. This is like 40,000. I could have my own little town, Yeah,
you do. You have your own community, like your own city.
Right. So then I was like, okay, well, how am I going to make money with it? And I was like, you know what I want to do? I want to make money while I sleep. That was literally my thought. And the only thing back then I had to compare it to was I don't know, do you remember those Netflix DVDs way back in the day, like $10 a month and it's unlimited? That's the only example I had. So I came up with something called the networking passport. So you paid me $10 a month. Now it's 20. Back then it was 10. Mm-hmm. You could attend as many networking sponsored events as you wanted to a month. And I had to be between, I think, 40 and 50 at the time. So it depends on the month. Now we have like 30 events. It fluctuates. But right. And so now communities and recurring revenue is a thing and everyone tries to teach you how to do it, and I'm like, back then, like 12 years ago, I was coming up with this stuff just intuitively. Yeah. I'm like, how do I make this work? So I created that. And there's so much to say. We honestly don't have the time, but creating a business from scratch when you're 27, it's a tech company. So I got thrusted in front of the community and the spotlight very quickly. And I'm okay in front of people. Like that's not something that shakes me. I mean, I've been on many stages, but it was still like, because it was so much bigger than me, I didn't know what to do with it. So fast forward a few years, I don't know, more than a few years, 5-6 years. Again, my ex-husband was my then husband was my technical co-founder. Mm-hmm. We have our child, who was very planned, because I was like, listen, if I don't have a baby, like there's a million reasons not to. I mean, like the company was my baby, and it took up all my time. So she was very planned. I gave myself a deadline of 30 years old. She was born when I was 31. And I 3 years after that, decided to end the marriage because it was time to end it. And which meant I was about to lose my technical co-founder. Again, having to make a huge decision. It is much easier to find a husband than it is a good technical co-founder. Okay.
That's the truth.
Yes. Not that I'm looking for a husband. Technical co-founder was #1 priority. So at the time, I ran myself into the ground. I was sick. I had adrenal fatigue. I had thyroid issues. I didn't know. I couldn't get out of bed. Could not get out of bed. The year of my divorce was, I put myself on bed rest. I was in bed the whole time. The community doesn't even know I skipped a beat. And I was very public about being sick, by the way. I have a blog that went viral where I talked about all of this. It's called I was documenting my journey. It's called documenting my life pivot. And so I talked about it, but this is when I realized what I had created for myself. Okay, as a like financially, with my recurring revenue, I was able to sustain everything I had to sustain while I was in bed and doing whatever it is I needed to rest. Nothing. Yeah. I just needed to rest. This is when I dove deep into myself and energy work, and like, which is such a huge part of me. And it was like, okay, it was almost like life had to bring me down to my knees so that I could understand all the other parts of me that I needed to now start exploring. Like, the networking piece is great, but I'm a people person and I guide people. And when I do my work with people one-on-one, there's all sorts of magic that happens. It is not just networking, and it was time for me to add all of that into my dimension. Yeah. So you were asking me about my TED Talk, Colleen. Sorry, I'll keep talking. I'll forget about the TED Talk. But you know, the most beautiful thing about that TED Talk to me was that I was invited on that stage. And I've been invited on many stages, but like, to be invited on a TEDx stage is cool, right? Because usually you have to apply. Mm-hmm. There was no application. The woman said to me, I know who you are. I know what you've done. And I want you on that stage. And I said, oh,
wonderful.
I was like, incredible. I'm like, well, what do you want me to speak about? She's like, I don't know. You're Gelie. You'll figure it out. I was like, okay. So the title of my TED Talk is Journey to Freedom. And Sink, Swim, or Fly. And I talk about how it was, you know, my family, when we were, they wanted to leave the former Soviet Union, how they started me on this trajectory of, you always have to fight for your freedom. It doesn't matter where you are in life. It doesn't matter how good you think you have it. If you could have something better, mediocre is just not an option. Mm-hmm. And this has been just something that's been ingrained in me my entire life. You know, I couldn't do the whole job thing. I quit. I needed my freedom, and I figured it out. You know, I was in my relationship for 17 years. When it was over, it was time to move on, to make that decision, chase my freedom. You know, instead I'm chasing my freedom, but I really am, because again, like, what am I building? I'm building to have a life filled with freedom, so I can do what I want to do, not what I have to do, right? And so the TED Talk was a lot about that. I hope I get to do another one someday, actually, because that was almost like phase 1, you know, and then I could talk about phase 2. But so currently, you know, where's Networking Phoenix? So I do have a new technical co-founder. It did take a while to find a good one. I had a very specific criteria. Yeah. And my vision with Networking Phoenix, and the Networking Phoenix is how we know it, but there's a parent company called Network Local. But what I'm doing is we're actually rebuilding it in such a way that it could be scaled into any different vertical. I mean, there's as many spiritual events and yoga events as there are networking events. So, and this software, I own it. Nothing comes close to it. So, you know, I can expand into different verticals, and I get requests for this platform from all over the world, not just the US, but like everywhere, like, there's nothing like it exists. So that's my personal entrepreneurial journey of what am I doing? You know, it's like I'm buried in the software. Meanwhile, I'm in the community, because everyone thinks I'm I run a networking group, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, because it's like I wear so many hats, right? There's the entrepreneurial hat, there's the software hat, there's I'm in the community hat, then I do my energy work. So then I guide, and I'm a therapist for many people. And I love it all, you know, and people are like, well, you're transitioning. I'm like, I'm not really transitioning. It's really more like, this is just this is just me. And I talk openly about everything. I talk about my divorce. I talk about, you know, what it's like to find your soulmate and then know when you have to leave your soulmate. Like, I mean, these are very legit things. You know, I write about openly, you know, I'm a writer. I love to write. And, you know, Didi, it's so inspiring, you know, like, just to hear you say, you know, like, you're 43 and you're open, you're by your age. And you're like, I did this in the last 4 years, because sometimes I look at myself, and as much as I've accomplished, and I'm so proud of myself, I'm 38. And I'm like, I'm close to 40. Did I hit, like, did I hit it right? Like, where am I going to be by 40? You know, and
So much better in the 40s, by the way.
Yeah, it is. And let me just tell you, I'll make you feel better to let you know, I just left corporate America this year and I'm on a new journey and I'm almost 50. So it really doesn't matter what age you are, you know, you can start that journey whenever. And Gelie, I just wanted to quickly, because we only have a couple minutes before the close, if you could just give contact information quickly to our listeners.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if anyone is local in Phoenix and they're interested in Networking Phoenix, it's networkingphoenix.com. They can contact me through there.
Okay.
My consulting website is gelie.com, GELIE.com. And for anyone that's interested, again, in my, personal divorce story and my spiritual energy work, it's followgelie.com.
Follow GELIE.
You got it.
Right? Wonderful. Well, ladies, today has been an amazing show. I can't thank you enough that you guys are two powerhouses. And that's why I wanted to, I stated the title as, start a movement that infiltrates millions of lives because Didi, you're an international sensation, and Gelie, you created a city in Phoenix, 40,000 people. And today's message really is about, don't be afraid to use your voice. You have to speak up and use your voice. And don't be afraid to walk in a room of individuals. You have to show up because you never know who you're going to meet. And if you don't show up, that moment's going to pass you by. And that might have been the person you needed to meet that set you on a trajectory for the next path of your life. Right. So ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Colleen.
And I hope you all join me next week, December 11th. I have Sejal Lakhani Bhatt. She's a female of CEO of a leading IT company, lost her husband and had to take over the company. She's an amazing story. And Coach Diana V she also has a podcast and she's going to be on our show next week as well. So ladies, thank you so much. And for all of my Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up listeners, remember, you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that's ever going to be. So live your life with courage and be brave and show up and be strong. So we will talk to you next week. Everyone have a wonderful week. Bye, you guys.
Thank you.
Bye, Gelie. Bye, Colleen.
Bye.
And for all of our Facebook friends, we've loved being with you here today. So we will leave all of our information in the comment section. And ladies, thank you. You were amazing today.
Thank you, Facebook group.
All right, great show, ladies.
Great. Thank you so much. All right, ladies, we are going to stop live on Facebook now. And thank you for being with me.
Yeah, thank you, Colleen. Thank you for taking time out of your retreat.
Oh, yes. I'm ready to go back in and get my retreat.
Say hi to everyone.
I will.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye, Gelie.
Bye, Gelie. See you on Wednesday.
Bye.